Hello students, how are you all? I hope you all are fine. Let us start our today's session. In today's session, we are going to learn new chapter of mathematics, that is chapter number 5, Introduction to Euclid's Geometry. Introduction to Euclid's Geometry. Now Euclid is a name of mathematician. He discovered many things in geometry, many useful things which are used in geometry. In this chapter, we shall discuss Euclid's approaches to geometry and shall try to link it with the present day. Okay. Euclid's definition, axiom and postulates. Now, my dear students, all of you know that statement. What is statement? Statement is a sentence. A statement is a sentence. But which sentence? A sentence which can be judged to be true or false is called a statement. A sentence called this group of that words is called as sentence. But a sentence which can be judged to be true or false, then it is called as statement. That means whenever we can find the value of the sentence, that means whenever we say that the statement is true, this sentence is true, this sentence is false, then that sentence is called as statement. Okay, look at here. There is one example. The sum of the angles of a triangle is 180 degree. All of you know that angle sum property of triangle, and sum of all angles of triangle is 180 degree, right? So this statement is true or false? Yes, this is a true statement. Why it is true? Since all of you know that sum of angles of triangle is 180 degree, right? That means the value of this statement is true. The value of this sentence is true. Therefore, it is a sentence. Since we can judge this sentence is true sentence. So, we call this sentence as statement, right? So, it is a true statement, right? Second one, the sum of the angles of quadrilateral is 180 degree. Now, read the sentence carefully and tell me the sentence is true or false? Yes, it is a false sentence. Since all of you know that the sum of angles of quadrilateral is 360 degree, right? Sum of all angles of quadrilateral is 360 degree. That means this sentence is as this one is false sentence. So therefore we can call this sentence as a statement. So it is a false statement. So now clear all of you? When we judge the sentence, it is true or false, then that sentence is called as statement. Okay, now look at the third example. X plus 10 is greater than 15. Now you tell me, it is a statement or not? X plus 10 is greater than 15. This sentence makes some sense? No, since this statement is true for every value of x. No, if I put here x is equal to 1. If I put here x is equal to 1, then what will we get? We will get 11 is greater than 15. But it's true? No, it is false. If I put here 50 plus 10 is greater than 15, right? Since 60 is greater than 15, that means only x plus 10 greater than 15, we cannot judge this sentence. This sentence is true or false. Why? Since the truthness, or we can judge this sentence with the value of x only. The value of x depends, or this statement is depend on the value of x. If the value of x is 1, 2, 3 or 4, then only the sentence is true. And if the value of x is greater than 4, okay, then this statement is false statement. Okay, since we cannot judge this sentence, we cannot say this statement is true or this statement is false. Therefore, this sentence is not statement. But look at here. It is a sentence but not a statement. Why it is not statement? What is the reason behind it? Yes, look at here. X plus 10 greater than 15 is a sentence. But when we write x plus 10 greater than 15, okay, when we write x plus 10 greater than 15, if x is greater than 5, okay, here I give the value of x is greater than 5. That means here we put the values of x, all values of x, that the values which are greater than 5. That means 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So when I put x is equal to 6, we get 6 plus 10 is greater than 15. That is 16 is greater than 15. So if 16 is greater than 15, that means what? This statement is true statement. This statement is true statement. Okay, so now x plus 10 greater than 15, if x greater than 5, we can judge this sentence. Okay, so therefore we call this sentence as statement. So x plus 10 greater than 15, it is not a sentence, it is not a statement, it is only a sentence, since here value of x is not given. And whenever value of x is given, there is one condition for x, the x is greater than 5, then it makes a sense. We can judge this sentence, it is true or false. Okay, so therefore it is a statement. Now I think all of you clear. When we can judge the sentence, it is true or false, then it is called as statement. Okay. Therefore, it is true statement. Now, axioms and postulates. Now, these two words are new for you. Axioms and postulates. Euclid assumes certain properties which were not to be proved. He divided them into two types, axioms and postulates. That means here we use some properties in geometries which were not to be proved. Okay, but we assume these sentences as true sentences. Okay, like a point is that which has no part. The edges of surface are lines. The boundaries of surfaces are curves or straight lines. The plane surfaces is a surface which lies evenly with the straight line on itself. Okay. There is no proof for this sentence. We assume these sentences are true sentences or true statements. Okay, so Euclid assumed such certain properties which were not to be proved, and he divided them into two types, namely axioms and postulates. Okay, the assumption, that means the true statements that were used throughout mathematics and specifically linked to geometry are called as postulates. That means some statements which are used in mathematics and they are linked with geometry, then these statements are called as postulates. Okay. They are called as axioms. Okay, that means the statements which are used in mathematics and they are linked with geometry, then they are called as postulate, and if they are not linked with mathematics or geometry, then we call these statements are axioms. However, nowadays we do not distinguish between axioms and postulate. In today's mathematics, there is no difference between axioms and postulates. Okay. There are some examples. Look at here. Things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. Okay, look at here. Things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. That means suppose there are two squares. Now if the two squares are equal to each other, that means what? Number of sides are same and number of angles are also same. All measure of sides is same. Okay, then only two squares are equal. Okay, like that things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. Second one, the things which are coincide with another, the equal to one another, right? Things which coincide with another are equal to one another. We have proved this. Okay, two triangles, similar triangles, they are coincide with each other, then we call this as similar triangle. Like the whole is greater than the part. The whole is greater than the part. Okay, since it is a sentence, right? The sun rises in east. It is a sentence and it is a true sentence. All of you know that sun rises in east. Therefore, we call this as statement. It is a statement and there is no proof for this sentence. That means no proof is required for this statement. We assume that sun rises in east. So therefore, and it is not linked with geometry. The sun rises in east, these true statements, and we not linked this with geometry. We use this concept in mathematics. Okay, whenever we solve some examples, we want the sun rises in east. Okay, we use the directions and the sun rises in east. We use this concept in mathematics, but it is not directly linked with geometry. So this statement is called as axioms. And half plus half is equal to 1. Half plus half is equal to 1. It is also a true statement. Yes, half plus half is equal to 1. But this statement is linked with geometry. So we called it as postulate. Okay, there is no difference between axioms and postulate. The basic difference is what? Only axioms are not connected with or not linked with geometry and postulates are linked with geometry. Okay, postulates and assumption, axioms both are assumption. Okay, for axioms and postulates proof is not required. Okay, for axioms and postulates proof is not required. We assume that these are. Now next one is Euclid's 5 postulates. Okay, now in this chapter we are going to study these 5 postulates. So all the students listen carefully, all the postulates. Postulate number 1. A straight line may be drawn from any one point to any other point. Okay, all of you know that a straight line may be drawn from any one point to any other point. This postulate tells us that at least one straight line passes through two distinct points. Okay, all of you know that we draw a line through any point, and this postulate tells that at least one straight line passes through two distinct points. It is also true, but it does not say that there cannot be more than one such line. Okay, these postulates only say that a straight line may be drawn from any one point to the other point. We can draw the line from any point to any other point. Okay, but this postulate does not say that, okay, this is very important, there cannot be more than one such line. So for the, look at here, this is one point, this is one point. We can draw a straight line which is passing through these 2 points. Okay, but this postulate does not say that there cannot be more than one such line. Okay, since a straight line passing only, there is only one straight line passing through only line. Okay, there is a unique line joining two distinct points. Okay, there is a unique line joining two distinct points. We state this result in the form of an axioms as follows. Given two distinct points, there is a unique line that passes through them. We converted this postulate in the form of axiom. Okay, here in postulate, a straight line may be drawn from any one point to the any other point. It's very simple. Okay, but this postulate can be written in the form of axiom as given two distinct points, there is a unique line passes through them. Okay, all of you know that we have discussed this, we have learned in our previous session. Okay, in our earlier classes also. So look at here, look at this picture, the point P and Q. Okay, how many lines passing through P also pass through Q? So look at the picture and tell me how many lines which are passing through P and passing through Q. So from this picture, there are many of the lines which are passing through the points P. There are number of lines which are passing through the point Q. That means if there is only single point, then infinitely many lines passing through that points. Okay, but the question is what? How many lines passing through P also passes through Q? Okay, so we have seen here there is only one single line which is passing through the point P and also from the point Q. That is, our answer is only one. Now tell me how many lines? One line which is passes through P and Q. That means what? That is the line PQ. Thus the above statement is self-evident statement. Okay, this statement does not require any proof. It is a self-evident statement. So that statement is taken as an axiom. Okay, this statement is taken as axiom. Which statement? Given two distinct points, there is a unique line that passes through them. Okay, so this one is the first postulate of Euclid. Okay, it is very simple. Now go to the next postulate, postulate number 2. A terminated line can be produced indefinitely. A terminated line means what? Terminated line is equal to line segment. We call this terminated line as line segment in our mathematics, in our today's mathematics. Okay, so terminated line can be produced indefinitely. You have also learned this postulate in your 5th standard. Okay, so look at here. The second postulate say that a line segment can be extended to on either side to form a line. That means we can extend a line segment from both sides to make a line. Okay, so look at here. This is a line segment. We call this as A and B. It is a line segment. We can extend this line segment from both the sides to make this line segment as a line. Look at here. Yes, now this is so this is our second postulate. Why it is postulate? Since it is a true statement, it does not require any proof and it is linked with geometry. So we call this assumption as postulate. Okay. Now clear the idea about postulate? Yes. Next one. Third postulate. A circle can be drawn with any center and any radius. Yes, we can draw a circle by taking any center and taking any radius. Okay, we can draw the circle with radius 5. All of you know that how to draw the circle with radius 5, radius 2, radius 10 and so on. So look at here, this one is the circle and this is radius. Next is a small circle having some radius. This is also example of circle having some radius. So we can draw a circle with any center and any radius. So this is postulate number 3. Now postulate 4. All right angles are equal to one another. Okay, right angle means what? Angle having 90 degree. So if all angles are of 90 degree, then obviously they are same, right? Look at this figure. This one is rectangle. Yes, and all of you know that all angles of rectangles are same. So we call this statement as this is true statement, and for this there is no proof is required. So, and this is linked with geometry, so we call this as postulate, and it is Euclid's postulates. So you have to remember all the 5 postulates of Euclid. Now postulate number 5. If a two straight lines makes the interior angles on the same side, if taken together less than 2 right angles, that is measure of angles is less than right angles, then two straight lines if produced indefinitely meet on that side on which the sum of angles is less than 2 right angles. So it may be confusing. Just look at this figure. Consider the figure. Okay, now this figure, look at here, there are 2 lines here, the line AB and CD. There are 2 lines, and one line is PQ bar is falls on the line AB and CD, such that sum of the interior angles 1 and 2, here 1 and 2 are the interior angles of these 2 lines, is less than 180 degree. Look at here, we observe that the sum of angles of these 2 interior angles is less than 180. Since they are not linear angle, so their sum is less than 180 degree on the left side of the PQ. So they makes the angle at the left side of the PQ. This is the meaning of postulate number 5. Therefore, the line AB and CD will eventually intersect on the left side of the PQ. Since we measure here the angle 1 and 2, and since they make interior angle and sum of interior angle is 180 degree on the left side of the PQ, so therefore we can say that the line AB and CD will eventually intersect on the left side of PQ. The postulate 5 is more complex than other postulate. Okay. On the other hand, we have learned postulate number 1 and up to postulate number 4 are so simple and they are obvious that these taken as self-evident. Okay. Self-evident truths. All statements are truth and they are self-evident. That means there is no proof is required for these sentences. So however, it is not possible to prove them. Okay, it is not possible to prove them. So these statements are accepted without any proof. So we can accept these statements without any proof. Okay, so these are 5 Euclid's postulates. So you have to remember all these postulates, and using these postulates we are going to solve some exercise. Before that, just read all the postulates carefully. Okay, listen this video carefully and note a make for this. Okay, I will send you a video lecture and the PPT for this chapter. So you have to make notes in your notebook. Okay students, have a good day.